I'm glad you thought it was appropriate. I wished I hadn't had to say it, but I think it was probably true.
Yeah, I don't even like. You've got to go back to 2015 to find a loss that bad at Nissan Stadium. Appropriately enough, it was Ryan Tannehill and the Dolphins, but that there. I guess the one I said this earlier, the one bright spot, big picture for me, and maybe you have some others, is that Christian Fulton looks like he's going to be a dog. Like he looks like the real deal, skill set wise.
I thought the secondary did some good things in the ball game. I thought they got after some guys. I mean, obviously Byard had a pick on a play where he had to cover a guy for seemed like an hour and a half, which is a really nice play. I thought Molden competed, which was good. I mean, he didn't look lost. I mean, he was hardly perfect, and that's okay. Jenkins did what Jenkins is going to do, and he's going to battle. And sometimes you're going to win, and sometimes you're not. He's covering a guy who's going to the Hall of Fame, and I thought he fought him. And Hooker showed up before getting dinged. I think the thing that stuck out to me about Arizona is they made the tough catches, they made the tough throws, they did some good things, but I think if the Titans continue to play tighter coverage like they did yesterday, to me, it felt tighter than a year ago. I think in time, that's going to take care of itself. Those things will work themselves out to where you'll make more plays. But I like Fulton, and I think he's had a good camp, and it carried over.
I was shocked by the performance as a whole. What was the most surprising part of that loss to you?
You mean outside of the margin?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, specifically like offensive line play, Lawan, like specifically what shocked you the most during the broadcast?
I think just the way the Titans got handled.
Yeah.
And I think the Arizona, not just from the standpoint of what the score was, Dawn, but Arizona was in complete control of that game from the jump. And outside of just a couple minutes, they never lost control of the game. Mm-hmm. That was the part of it. The Titans had a chance to get back in it on two occasions. They got it to 11 twice, and you're saying, okay, now it's going to be a ball game, right? And it never happened. On both sides of the line of scrimmage, I thought Arizona won. They were the better team, and they were in control of it from start to finish. From that standpoint, that surprised me.
Mike, this team coming into the game, I looked at this team as a team that would have attitude. You would see it in their body language, the way they carried themselves during the game. I think that's why a guy like Christian Fulton, to me, jumped out. He played throughout the entire game from first quarter to fourth quarter and played all the way through. I didn't see the attitude from this group collectively, and that bothers me. Now, that can be different with me being at home watching than you being at the game, seeing it physically with your own two eyes. Am I wrong on that?
No, the body language was never good. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm talking about being handled.
Right.
They go down the field right away. You go 3 and out. They go down the field right away and end up kicking a field goal, go up 3-0. The Chandler Jones play happens with the sack. They end up having to go to third down, and Murray makes a great play, and Hopkins makes a great play, and it's 10-0. And it just never felt like the Titans could build any momentum or any enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. The one moment I saw it was after the Byard interception.
Yep.
And then the two play touchdown drive, and A.J. Brown makes 2 outstanding plays. And all of a sudden you're saying, okay, all right, now we're going to see the Titans. Now we really, and then they complete a 29-yard quick screen on a play where it's a bad snap and there's a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you just never saw them get in that rhythm and get excited and play with excitement and play with enthusiasm. They looked frustrated all day, and they looked discombobulated. And listen, give Arizona credit.
Yeah.
Arizona's best players, the guys they're paying all the money to, played great.
Mm-hmm.
And so they deserve every bit of credit for that. But for the Titans, I mean, that's not an excuse. The Titans have had 5 straight winning seasons. They know what they're supposed to do. It just so happened yesterday they weren't able to do it.
Yeah, but like you said, Mike, you have guys that stepped up and made the plays, like Kyler Murray. You know, we knew this guy could scramble. We knew he could extend plays. You knew he could be lightning quick and catch lightning in a bottle. We have some weapons also. Outside of Tannehill going in the end zone, doing his finger roll, outside of that play, he looked like he was, what offense is this that we're running? This is not what we worked on in the preseason.
No, and the score dictated some of that
Right.
because they had to go away from what they do. I mean, listen, the Titans want to run the football. They want to build off of their run game. That's what they have always sort of stacked themselves up with, is being able to come through with the run game and work off that and do different things off that. They don't want to be in the shotgun every play. They don't want to throw every single down. They want to attack you. And that also affects their defense as well, because time of possession goes towards the Titans. Obviously, when you're in those situations, you have less chances of turnovers because Derrick Henry does not fumble much. All of those things build on one another. And when they fell behind score-wise, that's when you said, you can't do what you do. I thought Tannehill showed typical Tannehill toughness because, man, he took some shots.
Without question.
And he kept competing, as he always does. But, I mean, they're just, this one was just so disappointing. Yep. And I think that's kind of how everyone feels at this point is, if you back the Titans, if you're part of the Titans, it was a glorious day. And, walking out of there at 3:30, 1-0, ready to go to your favorite restaurant, have your favorite beverage, start thinking about what the season could be. When that went out the window in such a dramatic fashion, particularly with the great crowd on hand, it's just disappointing. And I know the football team felt that as well, just like the fans did.
I think the favorite beverage part still happened, but maybe for different
Perhaps
reasons.
even more. Yeah.
Yeah, for different reasons. So moving forward, the big picture part of this is that it's 1 of 17, and the NFL season is a grind and a marathon.
Sure.
The problem, obviously, is there were so many issues, and the other part of that problem is now they got to go to Seattle, Mike, and this is the first time that the 12th man has been allowed in that place in a long time en masse. So that's going to be a tough challenge.
Huge challenge, massive challenge. And if you saw how they beat up the Colts yesterday physically, I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching the tape this morning and I'm going, wow. Their defense is back. They have a little bit different offense. Russell Wilson is not having to run around and it doesn't look like he's making up plays anymore. You remember how that offense looked for years? It was like he was having to come up with things. I mean, they've got a good plan. They've got good receivers. They've got a nice tight end. This is a team that's potentially a Super Bowl team playing at home at 1-0, and their confidence level is, you would figure, at the opposite place of where the Titans' confidence level would be. So I said it earlier today on 104.5. I don't think you're going to find anywhere that the Titans are going to get picked this week. Yeah. They're not going to be any big selection, any big upset special or anything. They're going to have their backs firmly against the wall, and they're going to have to find a way to come out and do it with the whole world saying, we don't believe in you. And that's not an easy place to be. But if you're going to respond to this, I don't know it's necessarily a bad place to be. I hope they'll be very angry, and I would imagine they will be.
I know a lot of the talk in the offseason was, okay, look at the weapons they have offensively, but you also do have a new offensive coordinator. So Tannehill's going to have to find the rhythm with Julio Jones, and they're going to have to mesh as far as new play caller and all of that. I think a lot of Titans fans that are calling our show today are saying that they felt the offense and the play calling was predictable, that everybody in the country knew exactly what the Titans were about to do. From your standpoint, what do you think about offensively with Todd Downing, with finding that rhythm and with that improving over the season?
Well, I think you're always predictable when you're down 18 or 25 points because you can't do what it is you do. And the Titans certainly want to run the football. Remember a key sequence in this game in the third series is you've just run for a nice gain to make it 3rd and 1, and Julio Jones gets the 15-yard penalty.
Yep.
So let's say, and I'm not going to go in, Coach, I think Coach Vrabel covered it pretty well today, what that penalty was. But let's say you're 3rd and 1 right there. Well, then there's a lot of stuff you can call. You could run the ball. You can throw a short pass. You could throw a long pass. There's lots of things you could do. 3rd and 16. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty predictable. And that's what predicates what they do. I mean, the reason Arthur was such a great play caller is the Titans stayed on schedule and they had very few of these situations where they fell way behind. You know, it happened occasionally. I mean, it happened in the fourth quarter at Green Bay last year. You know, it happened in the Cleveland game, but the Titans did have time to come back and they sort of made a game of that. But you want to be in those positions where you can do what you do. And that's who you are. That's what you're built to do with your offensive line. That's why you paid a running back what you're paying him. That's why you have the receivers that you have. And, you know, they got completely taken out of this. The offense is very easy to blame in a situation where it was very much a team loss, but it's still 54% conversion on 3rd down on the other side. And, you know, missed a field goal in a situation that would have made it a 2-score game. Those sorts of things. I mean, when you play the style of football the Titans do, when you're built this way, falling behind in that way is going to be a very hard thing to do because essentially Derrick Henry, who may be your best football player, goes out the window at that point. And that's not what, you know, a lot of teams aren't paying running backs. A lot of teams aren't investing in the way the Titans are in power. That's what they are. And when they're at their best, that's what they do. Easy to say today, but I mean, when you get hammered, you just get hammered, and that it happened overall. It wasn't Todd Downing's fault, it falls on everybody.
No, that was a collective debacle. That's for sure. Hey,
Mike.
Oh
yeah, it took the wind out of everybody. I mean, walking to the car after the game was tough to, you know, because you're saying, man, how did this happen? Because it hadn't happened around here in a long, long time. Not like that.
Did anybody ask you for your shoes on the way to the car, like somebody asked Burke Nyhill?
No, they didn't. No, nobody wanted to talk to me. I understand why.
Burke told me it's a good thing
I wasn't worth talking to. Trust me.
It's a good thing you got in and say, like, my